So,
I'm back in the hot seat again.
you're back in the hot
Bernard.
seat. Thanks for coming in again.
Oh, you're welcome. Nice to see you, Bern.
Well,
yeah.
Today is going to be a very interesting one. We're doing all about your portraits.
Well, yeah, and you've got direct experience.
I've got direct experience, and
Yeah.
what an experience it was. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's lovely to hear, because in a way, at the end of the sitting for your portrait on the wall, in person, and of course it took uniquely place here. So I've set up in some different places all over, really, in people's homes, in agencies, theatrical agencies, so many different places I've painted.
That's the good thing about that, because you do actually go on the location and in people's homes.
That's my priority. Whenever I paint a portrait, whether it's a commission or an invitation, my priority is that the sitter is comfortable. So by going to them, they're in their own setting. I set out all my tarpaulin, everything is safe. And they're in their safe area, and I know they're as comfortable as they can be. But as you know, I'm always checking to make sure everyone's okay. Do you need a rest?
Do you work with a studio? Did you sometimes get people to come to you?
No, I don't.
Always
because the thing about my studio is I've got lots of other work there. I don't want any distraction. I want it to be total focus on the person I'm painting, and for them to feel comfortable in their own setting. So because for a lot of people, it's the first time they've ever done something like this. And I've painted a lot of public figures that this is something they've never done, So people that, for example, in the theatre, that are used to being in front of cameras or on stage, but sitting still like that and being stared at, basically, observed, is quite a feat, really.
It's amazing, because basically a portrait originally was done because there was no other means of doing it. It wasn't photography and things.
That's true.
But it still stayed popular, even though things have moved on.
It does, yes. Yeah, I think it's quite it's still quite a status symbol. So a lot of the sort of public figures, obviously the royal family and political figures, will have official portraits painted. I think humbly where I'm making a different mark is that my portraits, even though I've got a background right from in my early years of being able to make a recording artistically, very academically and photographically, you could see who it was. I'm now, what I would say is I paint a presence. I paint almost like an aura. So it's something completely different. So I think it's relevant, because while we do, as you say, have photography, this is something completely different, a new way that you can actually... I have people that have said to me, I'd have never thought I'd have had a portrait of myself, but because obviously I can see it's me, but it's so unique in the way you've interpreted me, I can enjoy it as a painting, with the marks, the different surfaces.
What sort of people are coming to you now for a portrait?
Well, it's still really, basically, a lot of my work is through invitation. So I actually have invited, and which you'll see through here, but I suppose I always had a fascination when I was at art school, and even when I was a child, I had a fascination with the whole theatrical business, show business. And like you, I love old Hollywood and everything. And even when I was 10, I was in an amateur theatre group. And so I loved that sort of creativity that went on and behind the scenes and everything. So it's been quite a sort of inspiration to actually meet some of these people.
Yeah.
And if you like, go behind the facades they put on and meet and find the heart of those people in lots of cases,
Yeah.
So
is it still, would it be fair to say that it's quite expensive to have a portrait done? So therefore the people getting them done would be of a certain type?
Depends, really. I think mine are fairly reasonable, and the way of seeing it is it's something that's created that is going to last a lifetime.
It's an investment.
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
That's the way
yeah,
you've got to see
yeah,
it. So
exactly. Yeah, a personal investment
And
to
very-
enjoy for not only for your lifetime, but for generations to come.
Yeah, and it's very
family and friends
personal, and family can keep it. And things
Yeah,
like that. Just for
absolutely.
people who are thinking about having a portrait,
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
realise that it's an affordable thing to have.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's run through a few of your portrait.
Yeah, well,
So the first one here is quite obvious to me, and I'm sure it's of G. Do you want to tell us a bit?
and it's quite obviously
everybody.
that I didn't paint her from life
Yes.
because, but as you know, I did actually meet her, and when I did the Tower of London commission in 2000, that was part of the refurbishment of the Tower of London area, and in 2004, I had the honour of being introduced to her and having a chat with her. And this is actually the way I remember her, because I think I said in the previous episode that I told the story of how I made her laugh about being locked in the jewel house to make studies, and she had such a wonderfully twinkling smile, and so
So you remembered all that when you were painting?
yeah, and this is what came through in the painting, and the painting was actually inspired by my own personal photographs, screenshots from the television of her at the Windsor Horse Show in the last months of her life. So she was in May 2022. And that was the Diamond Jubilee year, 2022. So this was my Diamond Jubilee tribute. And yeah, it was very popular, and it's owned by one of my collectors, a big collector actually, who lives in Chelsea. And but it was published in Majesty magazine, the Royle magazine. So
this was you'd done this for someone, or you'd done this and then
no, I wanted to paint a tribute to her because it was the Diamond Jubilee.
and then somebody purchased that from you.
Yes, yeah, it was a collector
And
who
part of their
follows my
collectors.
work.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So
Well, that's good. Should we move on to the next one?
yes, of course, yeah. Well, we go from one Windsor, the House of Windsor, to another Windsor, theatrical Windsor, Barber Windsor. And this is actually one of my earliest portraits, actually, when I was quite young. And it was 1992. And yes, I actually wrote to her. Her autobiography had been out. And she telephoned me. And she said, I'd love to sit for you. Absolutely love your work. And she revealed a deeper side to me than perhaps people ever really saw. But she totally understood my work. She was very perceptive about contemporary art. And she went on to commission me to paint her husband, Scott, and Border Flowers painting. But yeah, I painted her at her home in Marylebone. And it was amazing. When she came to the front door, she was an absolute vision. It was just as if she was ready for a film set. And she's very tiny. She's about 4'11". I'm 6'1". So she was actually standing. She was in a muse house, and she's actually standing on the stairs when she opened the front door to greet me in. I think because she was aware. I think we'd met before. I can't remember now. Anyway, so she sat for me, sat very patiently. It was about 3 hours with little breaks. And at the end of it, I said, well, Barbara, it's complete. Oh, wow. So she came round, stood beside me. I said, you're welcome to come round and have a look at the painting. And she didn't say anything. So I sort of waited because I realised she was just absorbing it. And then I looked down at her and I said, do you like it? She said, it's fab. She said more, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. So she absolutely loved it. And she introduced me actually to quite a few of her friends and agents and different people that absolutely loved it. And some of them went on to commission me after that.
And did you keep in contact with her after?
Yes, yeah, over the years. Yes, we did. Yeah, because as I said, I think it was about 4 or 5 years later, she commissioned me to do her husband. And I took the portrait to that was actually commissioned from photographs because it was a surprise. So,
Oh, okay.
So, and I actually, in order to deliver it, she said, I'm so busy. She said, can you come to Elstree, the EastEnders set? So, so I delivered it there. And what was it? She said something fruity. I won't say everything she said. She said, but you're a something talented bugger, aren't you?
Good. That's good.
So, but she said, oh, Scott will be thrilled with this. So.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on.
This was, at the time, one of her closest friends who she was very eager to see. This is Paul de Freitas, and he's a casting agent. So he was casting people for theatrical things, advertisements. And he absolutely went crazy about the portrait, and he commissioned his portrait. So this is him.
So he commissioned this after seeing what you'd done for Barber.
Yeah. So and he went on to buy several more of my paintings, and he's got like a wall of paintings.
So he collects your paintings.
Yes, yeah. At that time, and this is if we turn, you'll see one of his paintings that's there. I've just thought as a little bright.
So this was outside of it.
Yeah. It's one of my still life paintings, one of my flower paintings that he loved. So, and it was actually it's called November Flowers, and that's the month he was born in. So I think that's why he bought it.
So he saw this after and he decided he'd like to purchase it.
No, he asked to see some, so I gave him a personal viewing of some of my works, delivered a few for him to look at.
So on your paintings that you've got, where do you keep them at home?
Yes, they're stored. Yes, and obviously people can see them on my website.
So they can see
which is pretty eclectic, lots of different sections.
How many paintings do you think you have at a time waiting?
Oh gosh, I mean, I'm very prolific, so there's a lot of work. I've never even counted. A lot that I've sold, a lot I still have. So it's.
Okay, well, let's on again.
And this is Dame Judi Dench.
Oh, okay, you can see her now.
So, I mean, I think most people know Dame Judi Dench. Most latterly for the more recent Bond films, But obviously, I had quite a personal interest in her, in that my, apart from respect for her as an actor, but my great aunt Kath, who I was extremely close to on my mother's side, used to live in Sydenham in London in my childhood, and I used to stay with her when I was about 10 in the 70s. And her next door neighbour were two the biggest theatrical collectors in Britain, in the UK, Joe Mander and Raymond Mander and Joe Mitchum.
Right.
And there's still a big museum, I think, in Beckenham of all their collection.
Well,
so it was costumes.
Costumes,
posters, anything to do with the theatre. And she often told me, my aunt said, "Oh, I saw Judi Dench out of the window in the garden visiting them." So that I like it when there's a personal connection, when I paint people. So I painted her at her home in Sussex, and before beginning, she said, "I want to commission you to paint my daughter after." I mean, not on the same day. It takes a lot out of me. I mean, it's from my heart and soul, and
that was nice.
Yeah, so she sat beautifully for me, and for normal human causes, I had to have a little break and escape to the bathroom. And I like to really say, most people don't really want to see the portrait until it's complete.
Yeah.
But when I came back, she said, "I had a peep and I love it."
Yeah, How did she contact you originally?
No, I contacted her. I wrote to her when she was at the theatre. So yes.
Well, that's good. So and then you said she asked you to paint her daughter.
She commissioned me to paint her daughter, the actress Finty Williams.
Yeah.
And she was absolutely lovely, and I found it so moving. And she said, "Would it be okay if I sit?" And she curled up in a chair opposite me and read. And I said, "Yes, let's do that." And I think it's made quite a sort of contemplative. Her hair was falling forward. And what was so moving was to see the likeness of the two.
Her and her mother.
Mother and daughter within 3 months of each other. So,
And that was done at her home?
No, this was done at, because I think she was still living at her
with her mother.
home.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so it was still in the same location.
I mean, this is 1994. So this is.
Some time ago.
Yeah. Yes, time moves on.
It does move on indeed. What did you? Let's just go back and on the colouring side. Did you decide, because they're quite similar in colour, aren't they?
Yeah, there was no. I mean, I think reproduction always very difficult. I think this one actually is softer. There were more bright and vibrant yellows in there.
So you saw
It's very much by instinct at the time, as when I painted you. You know, I never know what's going to happen.
But you saw familiarities in their look and things like that.
I wasn't actually thinking about this painting when I painted her. Oh, yeah, I absolutely saw the likeness between the two of them. I mean, if you look at photographs of Finty Williams when she was young, she's still young, actually. She's in her early 50s. And her mother at the same age, they look virtually the same,
Similar,
you know, so...
okay. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. But the colours are literally spontaneous at the time, what I feel and what I see.
Right, yeah. Right.
And now this is someone different, not a theatre. Well, in a way it is theatre, but it's in the judiciary. So this is Michael Mansfield, where he would be Casey now. I was going to say QC. This is in 1994. And again, I wrote to him because I was really impressed with him. I think it was soon after. He's been very supportive of Stephen Lawrence family, of that terrible racially motivated murder in 1993. And he's a really lovely man, sat very patiently for me. And he was very touched by... He has a dear daughter who had, I think, some learning difficulties, and I was very tender with her, and so we had a nice bond while we were painting, you know. So again,
so he's got good memories for you. This.
Yes, yeah. He's very nice, and I felt also I was painting a very good person, you know. I believe in human rights and you know, compassion, and he's a compassionate man, and he's a fighter, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Right, here we go.
And this is Julie Walters, the actress Julie Walters, Dame Julie Walters, and who has never stopped working, I don't think.
No.
She's extremely prolific. And,
that's 1993.
Yeah. And this was, I mean, that was 10 years after she'd made Educating Rita, other films, Billy Elliot, 2000, and she's done so much.
Yes,
I think she was in Mamma Mia, the ABBA film as well. You know, so again, I invited her to sit, and this time, often I'll hear from people personally, sometimes through their agent.
Yeah,
and her agent contacted me and said she's very interested. Would you be able to come to us? And so to her agency. So her agency was in Oxford Street. And so they gave me the boardroom.
Okay.
So I set up there and she sat for me. She's lovely, very down to earth. And within, I don't know how long it was, after a while of painting, she said, I was so impressed when I heard from you and I looked at your work, and she said, but I didn't know you. So she said, no, I know you. You could have come to my home and done this. Yes. That was nice. Yeah, it was a nice compliment because I was very young then, you know, and that is my priority, as I said, is to make people feel comfortable. And I want to give kindness. In a way, I'm giving them a hug, you know, for people that perhaps don't have, with your good self, Bernard, I feel you're very self-deprecating. And as you sat there, I felt a peace that came from you, and I felt a strong presence and a handsome presence. And you would probably not see that yourself, but I hope you can in aspects of it come through.
Yeah, I love that painting. Yeah, I really like it.
Well, this is it. And so what's nice is that people had seen what I'd done, but they could see it was unpredictable, and they think, what's he going to make? And everyone has something they're conscious of about themselves, perhaps they don't like or whatever. And when she saw this, she said, oh, wow. She said, I can see my mother, and her eyes were visibly emotional. She said,
I think that's the beauty of what you're doing here, because when you wait to see it, you're not waiting really to see a picture of yourself. You're waiting to see what you've given us, you know? So the portrait's not just a stray picture, and I think, oh yeah, that looked like me.
Exactly.
It's much more than that.
Exactly. Where that's you've hit it on the head, Bern. Where I feel that what I'm doing is unique and relevant because we have a world now of screens, and we see so much photography in media and everything. And this is something I feel, and that's what I've been told. I mean, I have people that obviously own my painting for decades. And when I hear from them again in later years, they say, that painting, you have no idea. I mean, someone who commissioned me after I did the Tower of London commission, now he was someone who worked at the Tower of London, and he commissioned me to do a painting of the ravens. So this was a different painting of the ravens. And I met him a few years later, and he said, you have no idea the way that your work enriches our lives. He said, it's very rare that, and I'm not, which has probably always been hard for me in my work because I'm quite a modest person, but he said, and humble person, but he said, there can't be many people that you think of every day. And because we see your painting, we think, even if it's subliminally, and I was really touched by that. No one had ever said that.
Well, no, it's very nice.
Yeah,
very good. Well, that's really lovely.
Oh, thank you, Bernard. Yeah, and she made a point of sort of, you probably can see that I look for, I mean, I used to teach portraiture, and I would actually try and share my expressionism. And I would always say to my students, because some of them would come with preconditioned ideas of, or we were told at school to measure out a face, and no one's face is like that.
Yeah.
And no one has two eyes that are identical. Nothing is completely symmetrical unless you're a robot, So, and she actually said, you've captured the difference in my eyes that I know. And but the main thing that she was most moved was that she could feel the presence and likeness of her mother.
Yeah, that's
yeah, so that was lovely.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
Yeah.
Let's see where we are now. Oh, it's interesting, Mo.
Yeah, because this was quite a groundbreaking painting for me. And it's the actress Frances Barber, and she was on stage in 2004 playing Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I don't know if you've seen the film. Have you seen the film? Well, I haven't seen the film, but I went to see the play. I think I've always been a bit anxious about seeing the film, so, but she was on stage with the American actor Christian Slater, and anyway, she was so thrilled when I invited her to sit for me. And but what was so lovely was that she made me so comfortable, and I painted her. She lives in a lovely loft home in Clerkenwell in London, and so it was actually like a big studio, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And she actually had a stage that she sat on, a little stage there, and she made me so comfortable that, and we got on so well. We shared quite a lot. We shared even that we'd both suffered with depression. Because, actors generally, good actors, I say, and deep actors are very sensitive people, as our artists, genuine artists. And note I said genuine, not all good artists. Because I'm afraid, I feel that the art world doesn't have all genuine artists. There are, people that attitude or whatever.
Absolutely. And we'll do a podcast on that.
Maybe. But
see, I see this is slightly darker than these ones are very bright. What were you seeing in that? Was it just something?
I think it was just,
it wasn't anything to do with the depression.
No, not at all. I think that what was interesting was I found her very beautiful and striking, and I felt this, I don't know, and it's a compliment to her, but you do feel very responsible that obviously you do deep down want the sitter to like the painting. Yes. And there is the tightrope that I walk is that I want to allow myself just to let go completely. But I'm also, I think I mentioned it when I was painting you, Bern, it is one of the most difficult points in a painting not only is beginning, but is knowing when to stop. Because you can start touching up or just do a little bit. And then for me, because I mean, my form of style of work is expressionism, I always want new things to happen. And I felt this sort of, this angle of her eye. And I just thought, I've actually described it just with that. And you can look very closely when you see the painting close up, but her eyelashes are there. But it was just a sense of her eye rather than having to describe it. Whereas with the other eye, as you can see, even little shines on there, there's a lot more detail there. But it was a compliment to her that she was very perceptive about my work, extremely patient. And I thought, it's a risk. She may say, oh, I don't like that part. But she absolutely loved it.
Do you feel that sometimes you hold back a bit because you're worried about what they might see in it?
No, I think it's more a sort of discipline, a sense of responsibility that I still feel this has her beauty, even though I've let myself go there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I'm constantly, as you know, readjusting. You saw me, I will even sometimes use my hands, even take a sponge to remove something, to redevelop. No, she was so overwhelmed that this is quite difficult, but I will say exactly what she said, but it does because I don't want it to make me sound, but she actually said, oof, I don't know what to say. Van Gogh, and she said, it's genius, and she hugged me and kissed me, and it was really lovely. And on a lighter level, she had a little bulldog called Smack, and he was there. And at some point, I was concerned. She wasn't concerned. She found it funny. He started eating some of my paint. Because if you remember, I'm sitting
Yes, you
opposite,
are.
and I have the palette off, and I'll put it down. And he went to my palette, and it was cerulean blue, which is this blue here.
His mouth was covered in blue.
Well, I was really concerned. I said, oh gosh, will he be okay? No, he'll be all right. He eats everything.
Oh, okay. So the dog was safe.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay, well, moving on again.
And there's another a great actress, actually, who you probably know, Sian Phillips, the Welsh actress.
She's very good.
Yeah, she is. And this was 3 years, no, this was 1997. And she was on stage. I mean, she's mainly known, I suppose most known for I, Claudius in the 1970s, 1976, I think, BBC drama. But she's done so much. I mean, such a rich career. And I went to see her in Marlene, which was the musical story of the life of Marlene Dietrich.
Yeah.
And she does look quite like her, it's amazing. And so she was thrilled to sit for me. I painted her home in southwest London. And again, for me, every portrait, although I make my sitter comfortable, is a battle because I'm wanting something new to happen. So I'm feeling my way around and then checking on them. So it's a balancing act, really,
Yeah.
And when she saw it, she literally jumped up and down. She said, "Oh!" And the lovely thing that she said to me was that she'd been painted quite a few times.
Oh, really?
And I think not just through her request, but that her husbands had asked her to be painted. And she actually said, yours is the only one that I feel has really captured me, which was really, I was so grateful.
Would these be in their homes? And these?
Oh, yes. Yeah. This, gosh, it's very treasured. And it was, actually, I never saw it, but someone contacted me I think it was in 2012, and said, and I don't buy it, so said, have you seen the Daily Mail magazine on the Saturday this was? And I think there's a page, something like my favourite things or my favourite room. And she was photographed in the room with her portrait.
Oh, lovely.
But at the time as well, I actually did some charcoal, not on the same day, but charcoal drawings of her cats. And she wrote in this article, they said, "What is your most treasured item?" And she said, "The charcoal that Stephen B. Whatley did of Barnaby."
Well, that's a nice compliment.
Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah, because I'm sure, as you know, although I've never had pets myself, but animals are so important to people.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and
Have you done any portraits of animals?
I have, yes, yeah, I have, and you will see one maybe
Oh,
coming
will
up
I?
soon.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, we'll run through. This is one I think everyone will recognise. What made you paint this one, Stephen?
Well, I've always had a deep care about the United States and a concern, certainly at the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know where that comes from. Maybe it comes from my great interest in old Hollywood, because it goes right back to my childhood.
Yeah,
and
you love that, don't
teen years.
you?
Yeah, and I can remember I was a great dreamer. Spent quite a lot of time. Very shy, really. At school, I was really popular. I had lots of friends, but I would always be at home, really, on my own when I came home. And I can remember sitting in the garden, and if it was blue sky, always dreaming about the skies must be bigger in America. I don't know why. I don't know where it comes from, but I know a lot about North American birds, all that sort of thing. So, and I suppose I loved American cartoons, Hanna-Barbera and Disney. So our media was infiltrated by the United States. And so when Barack Obama was sort of up for president, I felt it could be, and I hoped it would be really unifying, and a good symbol of breaking through. There'd be so many racial barriers.
Yeah.
So I always like to say, because obviously I'm a British citizen, that I voted with my heart.
Yeah, that's good.
So once I'd painted this tribute, now obviously this was necessarily from photographs. So when I paint a portrait from photographs, which I do commissions from photographs, which people have done because it's a surprise, so the person doesn't know. I don't paint from one photograph. I amass a certain number together to give me an overall feeling, because if you're painting someone in person, all the information is there. You've got their presence, everything. So I put a little montage together, and and that's what inspired the painting. And then once the painting was complete, this was 2008, I then released it onto my Flickr site, which is flickr.com, photography site, and it was very popular there. And it was actually, I had no idea, was spotted by Time magazine. And they were looking through Flickr, which was I think Flickr began in 2004, something like that. So it was much bigger than it actually is now. It's still going, but it was very popular. So Time chose Flickr to look for new photographs of Barack Obama. And they chose my painting as one of the 100 strongest images of the incoming president. And they published it in their Person of the Year magazine, Time, in January 2009, when he'd won, obviously.
Right. So where does this sit now?
That is owned by an American property developer who owns several of my paintings. And he has homes in Britain and America, so it could be here or it could be.
But he's basically sitting on someone's wall somewhere now, nice and.
Oh yes, yeah. No, he loved it.
I think it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I really like that one. All right, let's have a.
Now this is a portrait of someone very special. TV presenter Sarah Greene was special to me and a lot of people. She's done a lot of work over the years. Very vibrant. She never really changes. I've spoken about this in several interviews and magazines, and the experience I had, which was quite a spiritual experience, basically. But anyway, she sat for me. I'd seen her on. She used to do a talk show. She's a great interviewer on Pebble Mill. I don't know if
Okay.
you remember
Yeah, I
Pebble
remember
Mill.
Pepper Mill.
And
Yeah.
this was in the 1990s. And so I actually wrote to her. I thought she was very beautiful. And I was so impressed with how she came across and so vibrant. And she wrote me a lovely letter, and she said, "I'm most interested, and so we arranged a sitting, and she decided she'd like it to happen. She's a little bit like Julie Walters, because she said as soon as she met me, she said, "You could have come to my home. Now I've seen what you're like." But she belonged to a private club in London, so she booked a room there, and so that became my temporary studio. And we had an amazing bond. We really did. And it might be worth just talking about, obviously, you noticed it probably when I arrived that I have a build up in me going, when I'm going to do a performance. I think anyone does, if they're sensitive. And so I had many years still have sleep problems. And if there's a build up to something, it's even more difficult for me to sleep. So I had very bad insomnia. And on that day, the night before, I was building up and anticipating and working myself up. I just couldn't sleep. And it was the summer, it was very hot. And I had 20 minutes sleep.
Wow. Gosh.
Now, maybe someone saner would have said, I didn't want to lose the opportunity. I don't like disappointing people. So I'm a real fighter. So I thought, no, I'm booked to do it. I can do it. And as you know, we share a faith, and I prayed. I prayed so hard for give me strength, because I felt dreadful. But the adrenaline kicks in. So it all just came out. And I think it's one of the most, probably, it captures such an aura, that she had a light. She has a light, and she's back on our screens at the moment on BBC One on a quiz show called Finish Line.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't
I
seen
think
that yet.
she's filming that at the moment. But I think one of her greatest things, and she should be on more of those as an interview. But anyway, she was so patient, sat so beautifully for me. And when I turned the painting round, she came round to see it. She literally, just tears sprung from her eyes. She said, "Oh," and she said, "It's beautiful." And she's a very humble person, very self-effacing. So I think it was sort of that she meant my painting, And I said, "Well, you are beautiful." I felt that I'd captured her beauty, and
Well, that's lovely, because then you got something from that, and she got something from
yeah,
it.
well,
So it's a
this was
value.
and then this was 1996. And we kept in touch with cards and different things. And then in 1998, she wrote to me and contacted me and said, "I have an idea. I'd like to commission you to paint my husband, Mike Smith, the late Mike Smith, um, uh, as a surprise for Christmas. Can you do this? Is there a way we can do this?" And I said, "Well, the only way we could do this is from photographs. So fine." And I said, "But what I would need, if that's okay with you, is as many as possible that you feel reflect him." So we met up in St. Martin's Lane for coffee, and with a lovely selection of photographs. But the first thing that she wanted to talk about was, "I want to tell you again how incredible that sitting was for me.
Oh, good.
But I also want to ask you something. Are you a very spiritual person?" And I said, "Well, yes, I am, And she said, "Because I am as well." But she said, "I had an extraordinary feeling when I was being painted by you." And she said, also, the waiter that came into the room, because it was in a private club, to offer us refreshments, also had a very strange experience. He walked into the room and he said he saw artist and sitter together, and but he said he saw two people but felt three presences in the room, and he said the room was electric charge. Sorry,
No, that's good. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
quite
it's excellent.
emotional for me
Yeah.
actually remembering it,
Yeah.
because and all I remember it's just the energy and from my heart and soul and passion that I was involved in. But of course, I knew that I'd been praying for help, and she said, my experience was I would look over you and I felt loving arms around you.
It's lovely.
That was absolutely, I mean, probably the most amazing thing anyone has told me in their portrait
So
sittings.
that's really important portrait to you.
It is. And I think that she also, we've remained in touch and friends, and we're both sort of, she said to a friend of mine, she said, "Oh, Stephen and I are
Well, it's
like
like a
this."
bond there. You created something that
Oh,
day.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And she said the same thing, I live with your work all the time. And her husband, Mike Smith, was so thrilled with the portrait and overwhelmed because he had no idea. And then they both went on to commission me to do a large painting of. They lived at the time by the River Thames in Barnes, and I did a view, their favourite view, painted on location. And I actually arrived to do the painting. I had a friend who helps me, assists me on those location ones. So I'm midway in painting, and she and Mike Smith cycled up. They cycled everywhere to see, and they just wanted to peep at it in the making. Said, "We're not going to disturb you," but that was lovely. And she said, "We look at it every time we wake up." So I was in their bedroom,
that's lovely.
and
she's got that now. She's got those reminders of.
And she also commissioned me to do tribute to her father in charcoal from again from photograph, and so she has a little mini collection.
Yeah. No, well, and that's obviously very important portrait to you.
It is.
And you can see that.
It is, and because she was so kind as well, she was so kind, and
that's important
because I think she could sense that I was very sensitive to her, and she was more or less sort of saying, "Don't worry, Stephen, I'm fine. You carry on," because I kept checking. You probably remember me checking on you.
I do, absolutely right. I'm just more intrigued to think of that presence around you.
I know. Well, I remember saying to you, and it's interesting what you said, that you found it a wonderful experience, because I did say, "Do you feel?" I said, "You probably are aware that I'm praying as well," and you said, "I am as well."
Absolutely.
It's quite meditative, isn't it?
I think
And
it is.
I think the opportunity that it provides in the most colourful way is for people to actually sit and do nothing and just dream, really, which perhaps now is even more difficult with people sort of always looking at their phones.
No, I think it's a really good experience for people to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, I have had the experience, not very often, but when I was at art school, obviously I had fellow students and we would sit for each other. And I remember it's quite an unusual experience, because obviously you feel that you're slightly being analysed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Have you done any self-portraits?
Oh yes, a lot.
you?
Yeah, over the years.
You didn't bring one to show us.
No. Do you know, I thought about it. I did think
have.
about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a funny thing, because I'm not that comfortable in doing them. It possibly is because I experience quite a lot of depression, and so I'm just with me then, but
Does that come out in your paintings?
I think more than anything, and more perhaps a melancholy maybe in them.
Have you done more than one portrait of yourself?
Oh yes,
And
yeah.
then, do they change? Do you feel different when you're doing them, or different?
Oh yeah, they're all completely different. And I did consider it, actually, because I thought it might be interesting seeing the early works, because I did a lot when I was at art school, so when I was very young. And he says from his rocking chair. But I think it was sort of something to do with, we were actually encouraged to do them, actually. So because it's a convenient model, but it was something to do with trying to, I was at art school just a year or so after losing my mother, so there were I mean, for example, I was quite influenced at the time by Edvard Munch, the Expressionist. He did a lot of paintings exploring grief, and I did one very big painting inspired a self-portrait, but it was basically myself on a desolate beach, and I studied in Norfolk, and it was one of the beaches there, so I painted from study, so that was probably my darkest period. Now, even though I still experience depression, what is so wonderful for me is once I start painting, it's just the light and love that's in my heart that comes out, not that darkness. So, as you know.
Yeah, and definitely.
So, I mean, I really feel that. It's sort of, certainly there's a depth, and sometimes there might be a melancholy, but it's not anything too dark. I'm really about light.
Yeah, it's funny because you said that you sort of spend a lot of time with a youngster at home and watching them, but you're not a loner. You've got lots of friends. You do lots and lots of things.
I'm very much, very into humanity.
Yeah. No, you're definitely not a loner, and I know you do lots and lots of things. You meet lots of people.
Yeah. No, I'm not a loner. I mean, it's just, I think because of the involvements I have with people are so deep that I don't mind being on my own at times, so excuse me.
I know. No, it's interesting. Right, let's move on now from this wonderful painting.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Sarah Greene. And this is another lovely lady who was equally sensitive towards me. I mean, that's really important when people are, every so often you might get, and I'm too diplomatic to say who, but you might get some sitters that are slightly impatient or just don't have quite that. But she was absolutely lovely. It's Carol Royle. And she's a stage and TV actress, and she sat for me in 2005. And she's just a very, very spiritual lady, and we just connected completely, and she's calling me darling, and we're still in touch.
Oh, good. Yeah.
She's. I feel for her deeply because she lost her husband very tragically last year, and but another great actress who's mainly on stage now, really, when she's working, So that was painted at her home in Twickenham.
That's nice. That's nice.
Very, very deep again with the eyes.
You can see there's a deepness there. Yeah, let's go on. Oh,
now this is he's a businessman and entrepreneur, Ivan Massow.
okay.
Do you know him? Yeah, and he was one time, I think about 10 years ago, at one time, candidate for London Mayor.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He did run for London Mayor. I'd seen, there were a lot of it at the time. I first painted him in 1993, actually. And he collected, it's an interesting thing because he's very handsome, and I think he also had been a model as well. And but he did collect at the time portraits of himself. He wanted lots of artists to paint him. He wanted to see how different people viewed him. Yeah, so I painted firstly his portrait in 1993, and then he was inspired to then have me paint him again in 2009. And it was the summer, it was late summer, and I arrived at his home, London home, and he had his assistant there, and he wasn't there, and the first presence to greet me was this little Jack Russell taxi. That was his pet dog, and came running to the door, and his assistant said, "This is very strange," and he just came up to me so friendly. He always barks at strangers. Why is he not barking at you? So that was nice in a way, that he wasn't threatened. So then he was out, but he arrived back for the sitting, and I don't like to say that because he is good looking and everything, but he's actually quite self-effacing. I would say quite a shy person. He was quite shy with me. So he said hello, and then he disappeared. And he said, I'm from behind another wall. He said, I'm not sure what to wear. I've got this shirt, this shirt. I said, whatever you feel comfortable in. And then he suddenly said to me, he said, maybe I'll do it shirtless. I said, that's fine. So he sat for my shirt because it was very hot.
Yeah.
It was very hot. And so it's probably, I think it's the only
Time
sitting
you've
I've
done
had.
me. I think people observe here this little piece because you have to look at it closely to see.
Well, what happened, Bern, was that obviously his little dog was running in and out, and he said, I don't suppose you can, is it possible? I said, to include taxi. And I said, well, let's see what happens. And so he gathered him up in his arms. And I just then became, in a way, coaxing the dog as well as him. I say, are you okay? And then I was saying, it's okay, darling, to the dog. And he literally looked at me like that. So it was very moving
Unusual
for me.
as well.
Yeah, it was very
And your
moving.
way of doing it because you actually got to see it there. I had to look at it a couple of times actually.
Right,
just
yeah, but it's
see that.
he was so well. I can't remember the expression you made now. There was a funny. It's quite self-deprecating, but it meant incredible. Anyway, I can't remember the word he used, but he was very pleased.
This was your second portrait of him.
Yeah.
So how did this compare to the first one?
The first one was more predominantly just his face. So yeah, so that's on my website. You know, I've got a big page of all my. This is just a small selection of my portraits.
I'm sure a lot of people who watched the previous one have been looking at your.
Yeah, I hope so.
website.
Yeah, that's great.
So all right, but let's move on a little bit now.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, this one looks familiar.
Actually, I think this is our closing
We're getting
portrait.
near the end.
I think this is the last one.
Is it? Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yeah. So I thought we start with the royal beginning and we end with the royal beginnings. And I think, well, it doesn't probably need any explanation, but it's the coronation tribute that I painted to King Charles and Queen Camilla. I watched the coronation, like I'm sure lots of people, and I wanted it to be as direct as I could. Obviously, I couldn't get to paint them, so I took my own photographic screenshots from the BBC broadcast and amassed a montage to work from. And then on top of that, I also worked from the studies I made of the crown jewels during my Tower of London commission in order to capture new things about the crown jewels.
You can see that there's some wonderful jewellery and things, the way it comes out.
Thank you. Yeah, because it's so much more, just as the portraits are, it's so much more than just description. It's about sensation. I would say all my work is about feeling. From my heart and soul with great passion, but I want you to almost so a diamond, yes, it's got several sides, but sometimes you can see a sudden flash or glow, and that's what I was trying to capture.
I think you had as well, yeah.
Very well. And again, this was it actually was published. It was actually published on, I sent out a press release. It was published on the back cover of Majesty magazine. So that was I was really pleased with that. And then it was actually acquired by one of my biggest collectors in America. They've got a lot of my paintings, but they're also quite keen on royal tributes, so this is actually in Los Angeles.
Oh, well, that's nice that it's sitting on some.
Actually, no, this is because they've got several homes. This is in Miami.
Oh.
So,
what size would that be?
Oh, this is a big painting. This is 40 by 30, which is 102 by 76 centimeters.
Okay, and that would be shipped out container?
Yeah, no, I have a logistics company, and they basically pack them, crate them, and I pay for all of that. So everything is within my fee. Yeah. And they're wonderful because they pack it so securely. And I've actually I had a wonderful occasion. I did a big family portrait commission, actually for relatives of these collectors. and in California. And so that was a even bigger painting. I think that was 36 by 48 from photographs. As a
I was going
surprise.
to say, do you ever do a live more than one person in a group?
I haven't so far, but if I did, it would basically be for example, if it was a couple, two sitting. But usually it's been from photographs. People have asked me to do that because it's been a surprise, and that the awkward thing of how. I mean, it's pretty difficult to do that,
Yeah.
sort of just the management of that. But what was interesting was when this family received the painting, and it was a surprise for Christmas, they were so overwhelmed by it that's again on my portraits page, the Reeves family, it's called. And it was 2015 I painted that. That they actually sent me photographs of them opening the crate, and they had little children, and the children were in the crate, and because they were so impressed with the crate, let alone the painting, So, people are just. I'm really grateful for that. People are really pleased that they know that they're going to get professional service, because I've been using this logistics MFA logistics for many, many years. So
of your portraits, and you've done many, and I know you wouldn't like to say, but have you got any favourites?
Well, of course, yours, Ben. It is actually. It's easy. I'll tell you why. It is one of my favourites because, as you know, a lot of my recent years, in particular, I've been devoting to a lot of other portraits, but heavenly portraits and saints, and a lot of my Christian tributes. So I haven't been painting as many portraits, but so it was a different sort of return in a way, and of course Sarah Greene, Francis Barber, they all have something for me. Actually, it's really but just to conclude this, I thought you might like to see this. What happened was I sent them, even though I knew that they wouldn't be buying it, whatever. I sent them a card because I was quite moved by the coronation, and I sent them a card of the painting. I didn't really expect to hear from them, and I thought you might like to see the letter that I received. From the Queen.
Let's have a look. Dear Stephen, so many thanks for your kind card and for exquisite portrait inspired by our coronation. It is absolutely stunning. I was most touched by the assurance of your prayers. Thank you. That's wonderful, isn't it?
It was really touching because I think
not many people would get something like that.
Well, it was just what was so touching was the personal touch to it. Of it is absolutely stunning because I mean, the last Queen Elizabeth, it was well known that she never ever gave a personal opinion or whatever, or someone else would give you sometimes an opinion from her.
That's a lovely thing to have.
Yeah, no, it was. I just literally came across it by chance. I was clearing out some cards yesterday, and I thought, I'm going to take it.
I thought that would have been framed and put in your collection.
Oh, I'm very, very humble in that way, but I have folders of things, but so.
That's great. Well, you're obviously going to be commissioning and doing lots and lots more portraits.
I'm sure I'm going to be painting lots and lots more portraits if I live long enough. So.
Stephen, thanks very much for coming in.
Oh,
thanks for doing this one with us.
Thanks for your interest.
We are going to have another one.
It was nice to revisit these sittings. Yeah,
it's lovely. I'm going to ask people if they can subscribe to our channel.
Oh, absolutely. I think they should. Yeah,
I think more and more people will get to see all these wonderful podcasts that we're doing about all these various subjects.
You have a diverse, selection of interviewees. So I mean,
let's do it.
It's well worth it. Yeah, absolutely.
So till the next time, thanks for coming in, Stephen.
Thanks
for your time. I know you're a busy person.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you.